Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Magic Threads Connection Through String. And today I have on my podcast two sisters from Calgary, where I live, Candace and Cheryl. Candace, you may recognize if you're local from working at Stash Lounge. She also has used to have a podcast herself and is, pretty active online. You may also recognize, her pets, her bunny and her little bird. And yeah, I was going to say your other children, but it is your other children, like your stuffed animals and stuff. Uh, and then her sister Cheryl, who has a cross stitching business. And I've been lucky enough for the past, like, what, 3 or 4 shindigs now to be your neighbor. She had her company name is Palms and Knots Stitchery, and she has the most adorable cross stitching patterns and kits. So you should all, yeah, check her business out. And yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Thanks for having us. It's been a
So
while.
yeah. So part of the reason I wanted to have you guys on was that I talked a lot in my first couple of solo podcasts about my personal connection to fiber arts and all of the, crafts in that. And I know Candace, you do multiple. I actually don't know if you do multiple fiber arts, Cheryl, if you're just, kind of solely a cross stitcher. But what's your history with fiber arts? Like, is this something that you learned from family? Is it something that one of you got into and then the other like tagged along? Yeah. So what's your deal with fiber arts?
I think it really started with me because I am the crafty one and probably in our family in general. Although I think mom used to crochet.
Yeah, I'd say like not so much in the fiber sense. Like I did like art camp, but I'd say our mom was quite crafty and she sewed.
She sews.
She was
She
a
sewed
sewer.
all of our Halloween costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was the one that really started the fiber arts thing because I started knitting. And that was way back in the day. Like I got a Ravelry account when it was still in beta, so that's how long I've been knitting. That should give you an idea. So I was the knitter first, and then I jumped into cross stitch, and then I jumped into spinning. Like I started working at Stash as a teacher, and that is a slippery slope because once you start working at Stash, you start dabbling in everything. And then I got a spinning wheel, and then I started cross stitching, and then I got a sewing machine, and I started sewing. So it's just I dabble in everything.
Yeah. So yeah, we're like I think we've always been a crafty, like do it yourself family. But yeah, Candace started with the fiber arts. I think she got me a couple of kits from Stash.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and then I picked it up when I also had like a natural curiosity, I think, with pixel art. I just like love art in general as like just a consumer of it. So I think that also kind of helped. And then I picked up cross stitching in like a 30s midlife crisis in terms of designing.
You were going through a life transition.
Yeah, I was going through a life transition and needed something to occupy myself because I was also unemployed at the time. So I was like job hunting and I was like, you know what, might as well start designing. And I really loved it and loved the community that came with it. And so that's kind of how I ended up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I can actually, yeah, I can really tell, especially in your kits and stuff, like when you say that you have this love for like pixel art and just like art and like your kids are so like whimsical, which I really love. Like there's like this playfulness and yeah, it's not necessarily, yeah, like traditional cross stitch in like, the 1800s Victorian, like,
Yeah.
we're
Thank
gonna
you.
do
Whimsy is like, I think one of my keywords that I try to go for.
We're also nerdy and we like video games, and I feel like that influenced Cheryl a lot too with some of her
Yeah.
designing.
And don't get me wrong, I do love a traditional motif and
Yeah.
pattern from
Mm.
any culture, I think, when it comes to cross stitch. And so it lends in terms of like influence and history, which I deeply appreciate and will always acknowledge. So yeah, so kind of bring that all together is kind of
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting, like how varied cross stitch can be, like
Yes.
super traditional,
to
and then it just
super
goes, it's
modern.
like super modern pixel art video game.
Yeah.
Like it's just very wide range of stuff.
Well, I feel like that's kind of the way it is with all the fiber arts, really. Like
Totally.
everyone has this very like very narrow view of what crochet is. Like everyone thinks that it's like
Yeah.
granny square blankets or what, you know what I mean? Like the stuff that our grandparent, like, or at least I know my grandparents had in the 70s across the back
Like
of
the
their
typical crochet blanket
Yeah.
thrown over your couch thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, or even knitting, like yeah, like this sweat, like the very traditional like sweaters and all of that. Like, but there's a really wide range in all, like even in spinning, like you have like very, very traditional, like woolen spun yarn, right down like to art yarn. Like there's so much.
Totally.
Mhm. I think it's
Yeah.
very emblematic of like, so how I always think about fiber arts is a very feminine craft and is very underappreciated in the scope of history. And it's very much a snapshot of where I think women are at in centuries. So like right now, women have such a huge variety of interests and inspiration and like what and capturing either life moments or just like history. And so I think it's very reflective of that too, which is
I also
really
think it
special.
goes into the whole thing where it's like women, like fiber arts, it's always considered like crafts and it's not so much the art side of it. Whereas when
Or craftsmanship. Yeah.
whereas like the things that men tend to do, they get considered art.
Or mastery.
Yeah. So it's just like
Yeah.
it's a whole conversations to be had about that, but
well, that's exactly what I was going to bring up too, right? That it's very much, yeah, viewed as a craft versus like the science that's involved in
right.
like
The
a lot of
math.
The math.
the
The
math.
insane amount of math. It is my least favorite part.
every craft that we do is like so much math.
Yeah, well, and even for me with dyeing, like I remember I went to my kids' school for like because I was like, well, I want to be an interesting like career day person. But like talking to them about like, yeah, I'm an artist, but like the chemistry involved in dyeing and the math
Yeah.
involved in dyeing, like getting
Like
like
the
and the color.
ratios of dye to water to yarn.
And materials.
Yeah.
Yeah, and materials. Yeah, that's like a whole, that could be something. I'm probably going to get into that with my next podcast because I'm going to have Michelle from she's a master spinner teacher, and she's kind
Oh,
of
amazing.
yeah, she's got a book. It has a new book coming out too. So I'm going to get into that whole like yeah, the what the actual like difference the fibers and stuff make. But I think not that I want to go down this rabbit hole, but I think you also brought up something really interesting, Candace, is that even within the fiber arts world, there's kind of like when men get involved
Yeah.
in the fiber arts, there's almost, and I mean, this could just be me, and maybe I don't want to put words in, but like there's this like almost a legitimacy that like that it's like
There
suddenly
is.
more than a craft, which
And they get
honest,
like more attention when they're doing the same thing that like I know tons of women are doing. And it's
yes.
not to like say that what they're doing isn't great. It is, but it's like why do they get more attention just because they're a guy?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
like there's
It's the
almost like a
appreciation of their advocacy and that they can go in.
I do love
Yeah.
when I see men doing crafts, but there's just always like this like they're put on a pedestal.
yes.
When the women aren't. It's just kind of
Yeah,
you've seen it.
yeah, I know. And I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation before, but it's yeah, it's interesting that with women it's craft where yeah, suddenly it's exalted in a way almost when men.
Yeah.
So you talked about a little bit about community earlier, and so one of the questions I want to ask all my guests is what does connection mean to you? And not necessarily just in like the context of the fiber world, but like what does connection mean for you? And
You want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Just because I think I can speak on that, just because we talked about it briefly. Like I used to have a podcast, so and that for me when I did that was because I didn't have a lot of knitting friends or a lot of like the broader knitting community that I do have now. So when I started my podcast, it was to connect with people. So for me, connection is just simply like building that community with people, talking to people about common interests, things, just like getting to know people on a very human level. Like, oh, crafts brought us together, but there's more to us than that. Like that's connection.
It's kind of just the medium in which that you have that initial.
It's the common thread that brings you together, but then it branches out from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess for me, like, it does give that sense of like, you know, while picking up cross stitch, you have the ability to have that community aspect of seeing and connecting with other people who are interested in the craft. I think for me, it's just slightly different because for me, I picked up cross stitch as a sense to connect with myself and my creative spirit, since it wasn't something I explored in my 20s because, you know, it wasn't like a large part of, or just a part of my life that I shelved for a bit, whether it's due to like I just didn't think I could or time, or it wasn't it wasn't financially viable. Like if it's not to do with my corporate life, then I'm not gonna do it. And I think that's such a I'm glad I moved past that, let's just say. So for me, it was a sense of like slowing down, being curious, doing something for myself, just for myself, to prove that I could, and that self-connection, and being more confident. And I think that along came with it a community. Like Stash is probably like the safest and nicest work, like retail community that I've had the privilege to, you know, interact with on several occasions, if not very.
Yes, I love that you both brought up different forms of connection. And one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast is because I really feel like connection is what's going to save our world, honestly. Like connection is what's going to save us in this hellscape that we're currently living in, you know, in Alberta, in the broader
in the world.
Yeah.
I think so
in this
too.
timeline.
Yeah, like I feel like in general, I just feel like everyone has kind of lost that sense of community. Because there's just so much like
going on,
discourse and things that, I don't know, just break people apart. And for valid reasons too, don't get me wrong, but like I feel like that sense of community is lost a lot of the times now.
Yeah. And I think something bonding like craft can at least inspire the conversation.
Yeah.
Because I like what is really challenging. So my corporate life is an adult learning like facilitation essentially. And teaching people new behaviors and new habits is extremely difficult because we have competing work, life, religion. Like adults are complex people. And I think just bringing it back to something slow, something tactile, and something very human
creative.
And something creative, I think is kind of where humanity needs to kind of go back to.
Yeah.
Because it is something that you have to just learn and fail and do over and over again. And that's something so kind of just baseline for everybody.
It's just nice to slow down because like capitalism has ruined us all.
It's taken a hold of everything.
Yeah.
I was literally having a conversation this morning about how hard it is to actually run a creative business in this capitalist hellscape. Like, you know, because I'm like, here's pretty yarn. Do you want to buy it? Like, it feels so trite, but it also
feels so counterintuitive to like all your morals and beliefs. But it's also like you need to also keep a roof over your head.
Two things can be true at once, and that's hard for a lot of people. Is like both things can exist. Like you
Yeah.
can be a small business owners and then gripe with capitalism, and then it's hard to make decisions on what's ethical for you, and it's so
broad.
dense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really tough. And it's also, but I also think that with like for my personal business and also yours, Cheryl, like you hit on it earlier when you were talking about that personal connection and how
Mhm.
these, so-called crafts are what kind of save us in those moments that we need it too. So it's like, yeah, recognizing that, yeah, that skein of yarn or that pattern that you're selling or whatever could be what is really helping keep that person grounded and okay amongst
Yeah.
all
And
of the
like
noise.
touching grass and like not being on a screen.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like taking a break from doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's something really, really I use the word grounding a lot because like I'm an energy person. I'm a woo-woo witch and I work with energy a lot. But like it's grounding. It is like literally like putting those strings through like needles or like through the fabric. It really is like connecting. I really feel like it's connecting you with something, like whatever.
Yeah.
And it can,
Meditative.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
for me, it's like sometimes when I'm like focused and I'm like just focused on whatever projects I'm working on, and it's very meditative just to like focus on that one stitch you're doing or that pattern. Like it's just nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like with digital work, like it's great because it's like out there on the web, but like when you do like a physical craft, like you can hold your completion. It might not be perfect, it might have things that you'll pick on, but like you did
it with your hands.
And like
Yeah.
that's an amazing feat,
Yeah.
no matter like how old you are, how experienced you are. Like that's still an accomplishment and a physical embodiment of your effort.
Yeah, and it doesn't like it is something that like no matter how, I don't know, successful. I don't like that's not like even a word that I was, but I'm like thinking about people like Michelle Obama who started like who's knitting as
did.
well, right? Like I
Yeah.
bet she's just as excited when she finishes her first color work top as
Yeah.
like as any knitter is, right? And that's kind of cool. Like it's almost like a leveling field in some ways.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think AOC knits too.
AOC does
Yeah.
that too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's
She
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
that's
I think, yeah, it's very like,
It's like we were just talking about. It's like that common thing that brings everyone together. Like we all come from different walks of life, but we all do this thing that we love to do.
and the foundational elements of knitting are like gauging, types of stitches, and like that's all the same for everybody.
It's the same for everyone.
So it's just like at any point in time you're on your own journey with a certain craft, there's going to be a handful of people who have been in that state. Like I will say, like when I meet people, like whether it's working with different booth mates or talking to customers, like they will be the first ones to advocate for you if there's like a young person at your booth, like how do you do this? Like they're like, I've met so many nice people where they cheerlead like your craft or will give the insight, and they're so giving of the knowledge.
Yeah, or when people are like, I couldn't do that. I'm like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You got this. Like,
yeah. Well,
like
and
even when I was teaching, like when I taught at Stash, it was learn to knit, and like there were so many people who come in, they'd be like, I don't know if I can do this, and and it was a lot of like you're talking about teaching adults. A lot about teaching adults is just building that confidence of like, yes, you can, and you will mess up.
But that's fine.
But at the end of this class, you will walk out of here wearing your first knitted cowl. And they did. And it was really nice to see that confidence build in them.
well, I feel like
adults
there's so
bring
much.
in their own traumas in different ways when it comes to learn something.
Adults are their own barrier when it comes to learning.
We all hate to fail, and then failing in a class in front of people is very scary because we bring in like our own connotation, our own perspectives of what you should be doing. But like you just need to remove that word out of your
Or they think like, I'm going to be good at this. I'm going to be an expert from the first try.
And it's more humbling to being like, no, you won't. But that is okay. That's fine.
It's still whatever you produce is going to be beautiful and you will treasure it for the rest of your life because guess what? The fiber arts last. It's also not some teeny stitch that's going to like break or like fade away or rip or whatever within like,
And
like,
even if you don't love it, people are still like, well, I did it still. Like,
Yeah. And also, like, that mistake that you're fixated on,
It's
everyone else
just
you
you.
show it to is not going to see it.
No.
Oh yeah, my rule of thumb for like any mistake in knitting is people are like, oh, is people gonna notice? And I'm like, if I was like, if you aren't noticing it, I was like, if you like, someone said this to me once and it stuck in my head. It's like, if you're 30 feet away and they're riding by on a horse, are you gonna notice it? No, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I always say, like, is it good enough?
Right.
And if it's
Yeah.
enough, then it's enough.
Yeah.
Exactly. Until you post your sweater, say like on Instagram or something, and someone, I don't know who, but like messages you and says, did you know your sweater has nipples? Because that happens too.
Like,
I
no.
remember that.
But you know what? It needs to be free.
You know what?
Free
the
it.
nipple. You were making a statement.
A political statement
I-
with that sweater.
Yeah, it was so funny because for anyone who doesn't know, it was a sweater and it was just the way that the yarn color pooled on the sweater so that
It
when I
pulls
put it on
your chest in that way.
Have you worn it since?
Oh, I wear it constantly. Constantly. Oh, I
Good.
love that. I love that sweater. But yeah, I just remember getting that message and being like, Jen, do you know you have nipples on your sweater? And I was like, I did not,
No, now you do.
but now I will never ever forget. And it brings me joy when I wear it. So yeah, like my mistake actually probably makes me wear the sweater more because I think it's hilarious.
And it's so memorable. It comes with a good
Right.
story.
It does come with a good story, just like Wet Hole.
Oh my, yes. Yes, Paul was telling the wet hole story because I had like one skein of wet hole left that I brought to Dawson Creek with me last weekend. And so I walk up and Paul is like checking someone out going, "Oh yeah, the wet hole story."
You
So for
should write a small memoir for the story and put it on your booth. And like it's an honorarium.
Well,
Yeah.
so to be fair, so now Wet Hole is like officially retired because for
You
people,
retired the
It
Wet
definitely
Hole?
needs like an honorarium with a picture of it.
Oh,
yeah.
oh my
So
God.
what happened? So for people who don't know the Wet Hole story, um, a few years ago at Knit City, Vancouver, which used to, so the reason it's retired is because we're no longer doing Knit City at the Peony anymore.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so Peony is kind of like kind of like a rink, I think was what it's
I think
intended.
so.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
so like the floor was like concrete, whatever. It's a beautiful space. Like Knit City has been there for many, many years and it's been
Yeah.
amazing. And I actually love the venue and like the area that it's in. But a few years ago, my booth just happened to be in this area that had like a manhole cover in the middle of the booth. So it was setup day and I was trying to figure out whether or not I should cover it. Like I was like, is this really ugly? Should I cover this up for the show? So I feel like you and Aaron were helping maybe Aaron with setup.
Yeah, it was me and Aaron that were there. We were actually just visiting. Like, we were just actually patrons of Knit City
Yeah, but I
that
think
year.
you were helping Aaron from Lillian Pine set up, maybe.
Maybe.
And so I went over to get a second opinion because Paul was helping me set up and he was not being very helpful with the what should I do with my manhole cover in the middle of the booth. So I went over and I asked Candace and Aaron to come over and I was like, so like, should I cover this up? And so Candace, being, Candace says, but Jen, why is your hole wet? And to be fair, like it was, like I think they probably hosed down the floor and like put all the water like through that.
It
Like
wasn't a very attractive sight in the middle of your booth.
no. So they did like get me a mat. I went to speak to the venue and they got me a mat because I was like, oh God, do I have to go to IKEA tonight and buy a mat to like
whole
cover up
rug.
my
Yeah.
You need to put a rug on your wet hole.
I did put, and they did that for me. But it was like, if you go back in my Instagram history, there's like a hole, like I did a hole, but I did the colorway, because there was like caution tape around the wet hole. Like it wasn't
There
just
was
like,
yellow in the.
yeah, there was, like,
fluorescent yellow in the colorway.
because there was caution tape surrounding the wet hole. Like it was not just like, It wasn't just a chill manhole cover in the middle of my booth.
She was a centerpiece.
No, everyone, it was like screaming, like, look at my wet hole.
Yeah, it wanted to be the main character in the booth for sure. So yeah, so the next year I did a wet hole colorway for Knit City Vancouver, and it's sort of become a legend in the fiber goddess
Yeah.
world. Yeah. But yeah, that was all due to Candace. Candace is
Your
responsible
great
for
choice of wording.
Come to me for all your colorway name ideas.
And so I brought it back last year because it was the last Knit City at the PNE. So we
Yeah.
revived Wet Hole for a season, and yeah, now it's
You
gone
have the
forever.
wet hole in it again, or was it?
No,
not
I was
there?
in a different spot. I never had the Wet Hole booth
Wet hole
again.
again. It was a one-time,
Once in a lifetime.
Exactly. But I love, because yeah, like even in those, it's kind of like that whole like the mistake in your like craft or whatever. Like even the weird stories become like a thing, and they're hilarious, and people probably someone else might have been like freaking out about the wet hole in their booth, and I to be fair, I was freaking out in the moment, but yeah, afterwards I'm like, this is a funny as hell
I mean,
story.
it's one of those situations you gotta make a
kind of
joke out of it, or else what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
You experience some interesting things at events.
Yeah.
You know? And it's a bonding experience with those around you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely vendor bonding experiences
Yeah.
too. And because, like, yeah, even at events, there's kind of like when you talk about community, there's kind of like two, I'm not gonna, levels isn't the right word because it's not like there's a hierarchy, but there's like a vendor community for sure where we like will help each other out, or, like cover someone's booth if they have to run to the bathroom, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's that kind of community. And then there's the patron community too, where they're there to find community with each
Yeah.
other.
One
And
naturally just happens, and the other one you have to procure. Like whenever I vend at a spot, it's almost like immediate that you like introduce yourself to your neighbor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
chit chat throughout the day. And is there a sticky kid making their way around the area, touching everything? There's always a sticky kid.
Yeah.
No, tactile. There's always a very tactile child that likes to visit booths, but like, it's like it makes it community oriented. It's like the hot gossip of like the weekend.
The hot goss of the show.
Yeah, and it makes it fun. I like it.
Yeah, well, and there's also like, yeah, we're all in the same spot, right? We're all like worried. We're all there setting up. We're all like, how's the day gonna go? Are we gonna like make money today? Like, right? Because we are there to sell stuff. So it's like, am I gonna get to sell anything today? Or like, how's the show gonna be? Or like how, yeah, like it's yeah, that part of being like in the same community. And I think
Yeah, for sure. And this will be my sister's first year at Knit City this year in Calgary.
oh yay, you got in. That's awesome.
Did, yeah. So as soon as I got like the invoice and the acceptance, I'm like, oh,
I think it's settling in on her now.
like I have so much to do.
You will do so well. Like, yeah, you will do so well at Knit City. It'll be
I
amazing.
hope so.
That's what I told her. I was like, you're gonna do great. She's gonna have people there. Like, you're gonna be there. Stash is a sponsor. Like, we're gonna be there to support. So she'll be fine.
I'm a sponsor this year too.
Yay! Congratulations.
Yeah, hopefully I don't get into trouble for announcing that before they have, but yeah.
Oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. Maybe
you might have to cut that out.
I'm sure it's fine.
It's fun. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, so it's exciting. Yeah, Knit City is a great one because it's a great venue. I'm really glad that it's in Calgary.
Yeah, second year, so it'll be
I'm very excited.
First year went really well, so I think that this second year will just be even better.
I'm hoping so too. Yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah, I did the second year of Toronto this year, and it was I was like it was better than the first year for sure. The venue was certainly better.
Was it
the
the
first
same
year.
venue or was it a different
No,
one?
it was a different venue.
Oh.
The venue the first year was like in a hotel ballroom, but once you
Mhm.
get like 100 vendors with their walls packed full of wool, wool is very insulative.
So
Oh, it
hot.
was probably so
And
hot.
it was May. It was May long weekend in Toronto.
So
So
busy.
they had the hotel like cranking the AC and it just was not keeping on top of like the amount of people.
Oh,
And
brutal.
yeah, just wool's warm, right? You can't get away from.
No,
Does a
Yeah.
very
but
good
So
that's why we
job.
love it.
yeah, so this time it was at the Enercare Center, which I think is kind of like for people in Calgary, the like the BMO Center.
Oh, okay, yeah,
It was like next to like the exhibition grounds in Toronto. So that was
yeah.
sort of where, yeah. Um
I'm sure that
like
was a lot better.
yeah, but they nailed it with the first event in Calgary. Like the TELUS TELUS
It was
Convention Center was
beautiful.
like yeah, and as a vendor, so here's your big inside secret as a vendor, Cheryl,
Okay,
you don't
take
have to
notes.
load in your own stuff.
Ooh, that's so nice.
You
Yeah,
like
that
pull up,
was really
Yeah.
nice.
I
The
was
valet
literally
service.
So
right.
I can bring in all the heavy things you're saying.
Yes. And then they like came and like got it at the end of the show and brought it over to the loading dock as well. Like I was literally hanging up lights in my booth and I turned around and
And this
everything
is
was behind me. And I was like,
oh, oh, that's exciting.
miraculous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. And the venue itself has like great, like
The
natural light.
windows.
Yeah. It's a
Oh,
really,
okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, no, that's really
No,
exciting.
it's really good. Yeah.
yeah, it's really good. Um, I want to bring, so this got into my mind and then we got sidetracked by Knit City talk.
Sorry.
Shocking. But there, like that whole, like the concept of community, but also being like a good community member and like being able to, I guess for lack of a better word, call people out on their shit within community, I think is like a
Mhm.
big, and I think that can be hard in a community that's supposed to be, I don't know, like, so for me, and I know we talked a little bit before we started recording, Candace, about this, like in
Yeah.
2019 there was like, what did I call it earlier?
A
A
reckoning?
reckoning.
A reckoning, yeah. A
I mean,
reckoning.
you mentioned 2019 to like any knitter who was around that time. They're like, oh, like
But for
it's kind of
me
like this
as
thing.
Well, but for me as a white person, the reckoning for me was that that I realized that as a white woman in Alberta, I had sort of been purposely leaving politics out of my business.
Yeah.
And I was probably doing that as a protective measure for someone but like if you had been like friends with me on my personal,
Yeah.
Facebook or anything else, and like I've been like an activist for like 30 years. Like I started
Yeah. Like,
protesting the
Mhm.
I don't think your
university when
views were ever a secret, but it was just like,
but I kept
yeah.
them quiet on my business, like especially like on
Yeah.
Instagram. Like and for me I was like why am I doing that? Like like that was like, oh, that's privilege. Like that is the definition of privilege of being able to do that, right?
Totally.
Because I'm so that's what changed for me. So anyone who's been on my social media lately knows that I don't stay quiet about anything really
No.
anymore. But yeah, so like I think that's a weird, like not weird, but it's a hard one to navigate, especially in the nice world of fiber arts, if you know what
Well,
like
because the minute you say something, you get the comments of, I come here for the knitting. I don't want to talk about this stuff. Keep politics out of it. Blah blah blah. Like the minute you mention anything like that, it's gonna come up. Because I remember even like I was still doing my podcast back in 2016 when Trump was first elected, and I remember I was very vocal about
Your
how
thoughts and
against
feelings.
that I was. Like I was very vocal about it. And like when I mentioned it on my podcast, I got a lot of comments from people saying like,
Why are you talking
why
about
are you
it?
talking about this? Like, keep it out of it. I come here for the knitting, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, well, like you can't really keep that out. And then it's like not even like a few years later when 2019 happened, when COVID happened, like everyone started to realize like, oh yeah, you can't keep this out. So it just was like the beginning of a bigger
Conversation.
conversation.
Yeah.
But 2019 was the big one for knitting, the knitting
Yeah,
community
for,
especially.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think I don't even know where I was going with that, but yeah, I think it's like it's an interesting thing about community where there can be still those, like everyone's at a show buying yarn and they're all happy and knitting but there's real life, like real life doesn't like I took feminist studies in university, and like the very
Mhm.
first thing you learn is the personal is political, and there's no getting
Totally.
away from that, right? Like
You can't
that's
keep it out of that. Like it's everywhere.
And it's a very like challenging thing because um it's humans, and humans are messy and innately complex. But I always just like say, everyone has the ability to change, and everybody will change their opinion. And then I always hope that it changes to a perspective that is more conscious and kind. And I think especially then you mix in like the online community, which makes people more reactive, less kind.
Well, there's a
less
veil of anonymity.
there's
It's like you can say what you want
100%.
without as many ramifications against
But like as a creative, I think when you put yourself out there, people will take you at face value, and you can only control what you give.
Yeah.
How people perceive it is out of their hands, and maybe that is their truth, but you can't do anything with that.
Yeah.
But what you can do is do what makes you feel good and feels right. And like if someone doesn't jive with that, then you can go somewhere else. Like that is always my mindset. Is like as long as I'm happy at educating and posting and being involved in the things that make the world a kinder, softer, more critically thinking place, then then I'm happy with that. But if people want to get disruptive, cagey, combative, then you can just leave.
Yeah.
That's always my mindset.
I will just block people when they get too combative with me.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like I've come to this place where I've cultivated like a pretty good follower community on Instagram, where it's like people know I've never made a secret of like where I stand on most topics. So like anything I say is never really a surprise to anyone now.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that too. And there's always that moment of like, you go through and it's like weird. I don't even know where they come from, but you get like this influx of new followers. And when that, like, it'll happen for like 2 days. And then I'm like, I have no idea where all of these people came from, but I'll usually like post something to just be like, yeah, this is where, this is what's here.
Slow down.
Yeah. And
you're following me, you're going to get this.
Yeah.
I really appreciated what you just said, Cheryl, about, really thinking that people can, because sometimes I get so bitter and angry that
it's hard, okay? It's hard to not.
It is hard to fall. It's hard not to fall into that space, but it is true. Like we have to give people the grace to
change,
realize that maybe they need to reshape their thinking. Because if we don't allow people to change and grow and
and we're just as bad.
Then what are we doing? Like what the fuck are we doing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Cause I mean, yeah, like that well, particularly for me as a white woman, it's like I'm a white woman. I have like I've been socialized, and it's my job to like kind of question everything of like
everyone should.
Everyone does.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
We're Asian, but like we've had to unlearn things too. Like
who in their like late, like who at one point into their lives has said something like stupid?
We've all said stupid shit. Oh my god, I've been problematic. Like everyone has, but it's like
the first step is saying like, hey, maybe that wasn't the right thing to say, and then what can I do now moving forward? And that is a more respectful and more courageous, I think, thing to
Yes.
do.
Like, you
right?
have to
Like when
admit
you
when you fucked up.
Mhm.
yeah, when you know better, you do better, right? Like that's
Exactly.
Yeah. And the people
yeah.
who are stuck in that wheel of thinking they're always right, will then never learn.
Oh, it's those people who have this moral superiority, like, yeah, they'll
Yeah.
never do better.
But, like,
they just want to point out everyone's faults, but they don't want to accept their own.
And I think then the only personal decision, which I never fault anybody or would fault myself, is like, it is not up to us to have to always curate the conversation. Like, as two
Oh
Asian
God,
women, it is
yeah.
not our job.
It's not our job to educate people.
Unless I like, but I'm always willing to have the conversation. But
Yeah.
that is a personal stance that I will take. But I will never judge anybody else who does not.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not ready to have a crunchy conversation with someone, then don't do it. But like, so I'll never judge that. But I will, and I will open myself up to, and like I will take it away and like internalize it or self-reflect or like, how am I, showing up? And if it's wrong, then I will course correct. If it's not, then like, you learn something new.
Well, and this, yeah, and I feel like these
Mm-hmm.
conversations and these, like, this is the community that's going to, like, these are the connections in the community that's going to change things, right? Is having, yeah, like being in those spaces, having those difficult conversations and just being able to, like, yeah, be in community that way. I know that sounds trite, but it's like,
But it's true, it's messy, but
it's true. Like,
but it's
we're
beautiful in
humans.
that.
We're gonna
Yeah.
be messy, but we have to be able to like have the messy conversations and then be able to laugh about it afterward and have a coffee. Like,
Yeah. Like, I think like when we have like discussions in our family, like sometimes they definitely aren't always perfect. Sometimes there's definitely competing views, but at least that you have them.
you just have to have them.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
exactly.
like there's also a difference of calling out and calling in. So this is like,
Yeah, that's the whole.
this is when
Yeah. Oh,
we get into like equity, diversity, and inclusion, like learning, like calling out and calling in are two different things, and there is a space and a need for both, and it's how you do it.
Yeah.
And they're used for different things, and both are needed. So
yeah. But yeah, and I don't even know why I start, but it was like, it was about that, like being in community, but also being able to call in maybe, or call out the actions that are hurting other. Like for me, like my whole, it's like, don't hurt people. Like that's like,
No, that's totally it.
like,
but
it's
then
like, well,
people
it's
get
like
into like, what is hurting? And I'm like, no, that's not the conversation.
That's not the conversation. Like, what might not hurt you might hurt someone else.
exactly,
Just
like,
because it
why?
doesn't hurt you doesn't mean that other person wasn't affected.
Like a broken leg feels different for every person.
Like,
Right?
yeah. So it's just, I don't know, do no harm but take no shit.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I love that actually. And I do,
Yeah.
you brought it up earlier about Stash being like a really welcoming and open environment, and I really like that. I don't work with I don't do a ton of wholesale, I don't do a ton of pop-ups, but Stash is like always one place that I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I love everyone who works at Stash. I love, you know, and some days when you're there, like Janice Irwin might pop in because she saw a trans flag on the door.
Yeah, and I'll be upstairs and I'll miss that.
Right, I forgot it.
Why did you bring that up? I'm still so salty about it.
I totally forgot that you were upstairs. I'm so sorry. That was payback for the nipples. That was, yeah.
Okay. Glad that you got to meet her though. Like, that was an amazing day.
Yeah, but like it will bring, like, I love that, having a trans flag will bring people, like, it's about bringing in not the right community, but like bringing in people who are going to appreciate exactly, right? Like that's the thing.
It just tells people like, oh, this is a safe, inclusive place.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Exactly. Like when I first started posting about politics and, like human rights issues and whatnot, I lost a crap ton of followers. And it took me a few years to actually build up like the amount that I had lost at the time. But I'm like, I don't want them as customers. Like, I don't
Do you
want.
miss them?
No. And I do feel like I have like a really, like you said, Candace, I feel like the community, like my online like followers or whatever are still, yeah, like are really supportive. Like I don't get a ton of, of the I'm here for the yarn, I'm here for the knitting comments anymore. I used to get a lot more.
And I feel
Um,
like that's just a sign that you are being true to yourself
yeah,
and who you are, because yeah, because you've cultivated that sense of community where people are like, oh, this is a safe space for me.
Yeah, I think there's a
Like,
stronger sense of like where you spend your money is who you support now,
yeah,
and I think, which I think is great because capitalism is difficult, but so people when people are privileged enough not to feel financially burdened to shop in a certain place, but they have the privilege to shop outward and have selection of who they shop for, then like yeah, they're gonna spend their money with people that they connect with,
yeah,
that they feel they are invited and they see themselves in, and that's why at least like with the internet and like being able to sell in multiple forms, which is like another result of capitalism, good and bad, at least you're then more accessible.
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Um, I totally just lost my train of thought. I had a really good
I'm
question
sorry.
to
We
ask.
keep
going this way,
segueing into different
It's
and then I never
things.
know if I'm supposed to be looking at the camera.
I know I've been looking
I
back and
know.
forth.
everywhere.
Yeah,
so
I'm really sorry.
I'm sure I look like I have
And
crazy eyes, like on
I
the video.
No, I don't want to change
yeah,
it. We have
that's
conversation.
always the issue with being on. But I also don't have people are like, "Well, I'm local. Can we do this in person?" And I'm like, "I don't really have a spot that's like I'm in a corner of my bedroom right now."
It's a nicely curated corner.
Well, and then you'd have
It's
to have people in your home, and like, even if
right.
it's people you like and love, like you don't.
You'd rather rent a third party space.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and then
get it.
I'm like, I'm not making money from this thing. Like I can't rent, like I'm not
Yeah.
renting a third party space. And well, and that's even another thing with the podcast. Now I'm totally going off topic, but like I like it's like I got a message it's like, "Oh, you can turn on ads now." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not going to
No,
because I don't want to like
you don't want to.
well, I want to control ads that are on. Like if I just give whatever stream permission to put
Yeah, you can't
ads.
control what ads are there.
Right? Like, and I'm like, if this is out on Spotify, do I want a freaking ice ad? No. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
Yeah.
want, yeah. So it's, yeah,
yeah.
capitalism is really freaking tricky to like
And
navigate.
honestly, the ad revenue that you get from like YouTube or whatever is not that much
And
anyway.
it's changed over
Like
the
you'd
years
have
too.
to have thousands of followers to get
Yeah.
anything. Because I think I turned ads on some of my older videos when they were up, and like I made pennies. Like it was not,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was not worth it.
Well, and
no, for
I
the
feel
amount of
like
work you
people
have
think
to do.
that, right? Like when you have like, it's like, oh, you have this many followers or you have this many like subscribers on YouTube. Like you must be like, there's this sense
It's
also.
tiring.
Oh, it's
Well,
so much work.
Yeah, like I remember when I was in my job transition, aka becoming unemployed, people are like, "Well, you should do something online or something like this," and it's just like,
that easy.
I'm like, Tina, like I barely have time to post, so I'm like a very infrequent poster, even on my Instagram. How do you think I can add on a Twitch, a Blue Sky, a YouTube? All has a different platform, a different community basis, a different uploading. I'm just like, no.
Yeah, YouTube is hard. Like the little time that I did it, like
It's the editing.
like it's the edit. Well, and it's even taking this time to record because, like, sure, you're gonna put out like a 45-minute video, but that 45-minute
It's
video
2 hours of
probably
footage.
took 2 or 3 hours to film.
Yeah.
And then edit.
Then edit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking
And
at your
now-
face for that long is not
And then
fun.
you have to edit and listen to your voice and look at your face for like.
This is why I try with these. I try to make it like literally just a conversation where we sit down for 45 minutes and I just turn on the camera and we go. Because yeah, like I don't like I want this to be like not curated. I want it to not
Yeah.
be I want it to be a little messy because I feel like that's who my guests are. Not that you guys are met. I feel like I'm like, oh, you guys
Oh,
are
Calling
okay.
us messy.
Yeah.
God, Jen.
Hey, maybe you need to accept it.
I know, but she didn't have to call me out like.
But I'm messy too. That's what I'm trying to say. Like it's,
Okay.
you
Just
know,
want
I
to know
want
one, I guess.
yeah, exactly. I was like earlier, I was like, why is Candace saying everything that I was about to say? Like
Oh,
shared brain.
that's why we get along. That's why we're friends, Jen.
Exactly. But yeah, it's really hard to like yeah, spend all that time and now it's like and every platform has like different things that you're supposed to do to like make yourself popular on that platform. Like YouTube is now all about the shorts,
Oh,
or so my
Oh
kids
god,
tell
yeah.
me. And
It's you
I'm
know what?
like,
yeah.
It's like every platform wants to be
Short
TikTok.
form. I love a long form YouTube video essay.
Me too.
That is what I enjoy. I need more
well,
of
and
it.
but I feel like it comes back to that being who you are, right? And like I'm doing this as who I am and this is what I'm putting out there. And if people identify with it or like it, that's fantastic. It's not going to be for everyone and I'm not for everyone and I'm totally fine with that. Like
Yeah,
I mean, I
and
don't know why because I'm
it's
freaking
the best attitude to
delightful.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, but it's also like with social media, like I'm not out there doing the trends and shit because that's not who I am. Or even like, you know, I'm not the person to hop on the trends with yarn, right? Like
Mm.
yes, I have a heated rivalry colorway, but it's one colorway and it's because it was in my head and I couldn't do like I
What
couldn't
color?
yes, exactly. What color? Because my brain is a
It's a
weird
beautiful
place,
color, by the way.
right?
And
And
even
it
when you posted it, people didn't know that it was.
Ah,
exactly. Well, exactly. I'm not like advertising it everywhere as like I have like a heated rivalry line of yarn. Like that's not who I am. I'm not gonna like, you know,
Well,
I'm
and then
not out.
it gets into the space of just people dying colorways of what's trendy in the
yeah.
moment. Like when the
And
Eras
that's
tour was on, every yarn company had Taylor Swift colorways,
And
and
like
then
and
I
if
think
that
if
works,
it aligns to you personally, then
yeah,
like yeah, sure.
totally.
But
But
like
like,
I think people can generally tell when you force it.
yeah,
yeah.
You know,
And for
like
me, like that's how I want like don't have huge numbers, but I'm growing organically, right? Like I'm finding those people who I actually want to be part
yeah.
of. Yeah, which
You know what they
is
say, comparison's the thief of joy.
yeah. There you go.
So
yeah.
and like if you're not like creatively inspired by what you do, especially like since like designing is like my side hustle. Um like I'm not gonna be doing this in my spare time to
If
like
you don't enjoy
if I
it,
don't enjoy it. And if
Right?
it loses that air, then like then it defeats the purpose. And if this is your
Exactly.
full-time thing, I feel like that gets more complex, but
Absolutely, it does because it is
yeah.
my full-time thing. So it's like, yeah, and I'm going, yeah, I'm not like this is what pays my bills. So it
Hmm.
gets more complicated when you're trying to, but it also brings me joy. Like I'm so freaking
Yeah.
lucky that I get to have a full-time job where I get to be creative and I get to like have fun and yeah, now I get to
Yeah.
talk to fun people and you know, have conversations and call them messy and all that, you know, and
Just a good
it's
time.
not a bad way to live. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
no, it's not.
absolutely.
So before we go, I have one question that I'm asking all of my podcast guests. And I kind of feel like Candace might be like me in that they're pretty open with their guilty pleasures and they're not like they hold no shame with what their
Oh,
guilty
I have
pleasures
no
are.
shame.
Yeah, see?
No shame.
But my question is, do you have a guilty pleasure that you're like almost sometimes embarrassed to tell people that you really like?
No. I'm just like I love bad reality television and
Well, and I feel like we're gonna be repeating each other because we're slightly similar in
I'm
that vein.
I'm a known Swiftie. Like I love the things I love unabashedly and without shame. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I kind
I love a good reality TV show. I love to drink, and I know like some people are quite healthy, but
She gets that from
I love a
mom.
fun beverage.
And I don't drink at all. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened here.
It's better. You're better off for it. We all have our own vices.
Like how you're on here saying, I love to drink. Everyone's gonna think you have an alcohol problem.
No. Okay? A singular glass of wine is not an alcohol problem. I'm an adult lady. Well, much people are much healthier now these days, and there's less of it. Maybe I'm just terrible. I don't know. What else? I love to just like couch rot and play Pokopia for 3 hours in a row. And and I don't do it as often anymore. But I need to do it at least like once a week.
We all need a good couch rot session.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I feel like Candace, you and I have like similar guilty pleasures that, like, yeah, bad reality TV. I am there. I am there. Uh, Although because last time I realized that I didn't really disclose mine, even though it was sort of the same as as Anna's. Here's my one that I don't tell a lot of people. I
Okay.
love the Fast and the Furious movies.
Which is your favorite one?
Love them.
Because now I'm curious.
I think maybe the first one, like that started it all. Like because that was like
the one that started
building.
it all.
Yeah, it was the character building. But yeah, there's like it's so like machismo and sexist and awful. But I went to see almost all of them in the theater when they came out.
I'm proud of you,
Jen.
It's amazing.
I feel like we know each other better now.
Do you quote the lines on an occasional occurrence? Do you live your life a quarter tank at a time?
So Paul and I were in Florida, like this is years ago, and we rented a car. And so when you're in the US, like Google Maps will do your will do your directions by miles. And so every single time it said in a quarter mile, turn right. We would look at each other and be like, I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Tank! Oh, I misquoted it so terribly.
It's okay. We're not here for perfection. She knew what you were talking about.
I know, thank goodness.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like I remember when we got our first COVID shot, I was so sick with mine. Like it took me like 3 days to basically get over it. And we binge watched all of the Fast and the Furious movies while I was recovering from my COVID
How many
shot.
are there now? 13? 10?
I don't even know. Like 9, 10, 10. No, Fast 10. There is 10
Jen,
for sure. Because Jason Momoa was in 10.
Coming.
Yeah. You should
I don't have one. You're right.
You should just call it Family.
Or you gotta name it after a car because it's so off-brand.
I haven't, right? Like
RX or something.
Or like just like a stupid like sexist quote that people are gonna be like, what is wrong with you? Like what?
It has to be like a shiny dark blue with like bright green.
You need it on the sparkle base.
Yeah, it has that, you should call it NOS. You should do an energy drink series.
Perfect. See, look,
ideas.
Colorway ideas.
It's true. It's true. I haven't watched it in a while. So to be also like fair, I had a hard time watching it after Paul Walker died because it made me sad to watch it. So I haven't watched it in a while, but maybe I should maybe we need to sit down and have and I'll take notes in my notes app because I have a notes app, a note on my app open that's like colorway inspiration. So if I hear quotes or a song lyric or whatever, I get out my little app and write them down. But maybe I need to own my guilty pleasure and
that'd be amazing.
Honestly.
It'd be so fun.
I am here for it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time today to be ridiculous with me because I had fun. I don't know if you guys did, but I had fun.
I had fun.
Yeah, this was a delight. Thank
This is
you.
really fun. If you want to ever do it again, I'm
Let us
here.
know.
All right, perfect. Good to know. All right, I will yes, I hopefully will see you both soon in person and thanks so much for being my guest.
Yeah.
Take
Thanks for
care.
having us. Bye.